Duke wins. Fatality.
What is up, people? So, got a fun little one today. Kind of gonna go over some stuff that we've been over before, some stuff that we haven't heard before, and the reason why they're doing it. That's pretty much what I'm asked a lot. Why would they? What does it matter? Um, why would they do it? And not say, well, I got reasons, I got answers, and I got proof. Um, but I'm also gonna do something that I normally don't do that I realized I needed to. I'm going to be playing a little devil's advocate today, tonight, because when you look at the big picture of it, I we can't really. I'm sorry, guys, but I can't say that they're doing it to kill us or to ruin everything. Um, so at some point, you got to realize that you have to look at the other side to even have a better idea of your side. So I will be playing a little devil's advocate tonight. So don't get me wrong. I don't agree with a lot of what's going on, and I don't agree with pretty much any of their reasons, but they have reasons. Um, but other than that, it's going to be interesting. What's up, Nick? How you doing, sir? Um, a lot of the things I'm getting back because I do a lot of talking about other discords and other servers, blah blah blah, about the geoengineering stuff. And one of the issues that people are having, or when I talk to them, they're having with it, they assume it's okay. They assume there is no. Like, I don't even know if they assume there's no long term effects, or they just don't think about it or care. But this is kind of where I got that idea of where I do play devil's advocate because to understand why things are so damn bad, you got to understand what they're spreading to people because they're not everyone's researching it. Not everyone's even finding the right stuff to understand what's really going on. They're getting the hearsays or what propaganda of the scenario is. Um, I was talking to someone a couple days ago, and they made it seem as though, for instance, like I've been talking about the ocean fertilization, they were talking like it just started, like it's maybe 5 years old. In reality, idea this came about in around 1930. So I realized real quick, why don't I start over? And I kind of the reason I haven't streamed is because I want to streamline this timeline. What's up, censored? How you doing, sir? Hey, trouble. Yeah, like I said, I want to streamline what's going on and why they're doing up until this what's going on now because like I said, every time I research this shit, I find I find my god things. And right now in this stream, I plan to explain why from the beginning and why it's happening and why it's not gonna stop now and what they're doing to make sure it continues. Um, it's first let me play the devil's advocate part because I want to get that over with. Um, the understanding, and I know we're all in debate whether or not climate change is even a thing. Here's the thing: it is. It's real. The problem is I personally don't believe we can honestly say everything is happening based on us and our fossil fuels and our in this industry. I can't say it is. We have to be playing a part. I mean, we are here. Um, but like I've said 1,000 times, whether you agree or not, Earth has been here too long, millions of years. we know ice ages have come, ice ages have gone, to say that in the past 150 years of recorded data that we are fucking this place up, that we are the reason we're gonna raise 3 degrees and ocean levels are gonna rise. Because I live in San Diego, I'm on the coast, but I can easily go 100 miles inland and find seashells. What does that mean? That means the ocean at one point in time was 100 miles further east than I am right now. So we had nothing to do with it. So to tell me it's us, that's bullshit. Let's see what's up. Okay, so basically what I wanted to get into is I wanted to kind of go over the idea of why they're doing this for the good reasons. Because I'm 100% positive not every single scientist, not every single college student, not every single business is out to get us. Oh, don't get me wrong. They're in it for the money, but they're not out to get us. Um, when a college student or someone who just arrives in college uh, starts, learning about these different types of sciences and methods and ideas and hypotheses and things they're running through their brain, trying to figure out what's all going on, for one. And then the other one, where they get their praise, where they get their doctorates and their bachelors and the whole nine, is once they start figuring out ways to solve these issues. So they're already motivated to not worry about what we have to throw out. For instance, geoengineering. They look at it, they're told how wonderful these things. They start studying it. They're in school for 4 to 7 years. You think they're just gonna stop because one bad situation they hear about or they figure out in their studies? No. For one, science is the most biased as any other profession. Here's why. Most scientists, I'm not saying all, most start off school. Once they get out of college and they're ready to be scientists, they're already decided what they want to contribute to the society. They know what their end goal for them. They know what science they want to blow open and show everyone. So they're already have their mission. What's up, Rick? How you doing, sir? What's going to end up happening is they're going to hit a wall. And remember, all these scientists, again, they're working somewhere to get paid to further their own research. It's period. I don't care who tells you. They say I'm full of shit. Find a scientist. Ask them what, when they got out of college, their goal was to do. And I guarantee you will hear them say, so and so and so, but I'm working on this. They're working on this to get funds for what they want to really be breaking wide open, right? So if you're working on something, you're getting paid. You have two choices. You're going to run into a wall and you're going to spend more time trying to get around that wall, or you're going to stop. Which one is going to continue to give you money? Trying to work around that wall. So that's where science is already biased. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people don't want to hear it. I know a lot of people already believe it. But that's just the way it is. Now, there are scientists that I'm sure go, hey, fuck you. I found out this is a terrible idea. And a lot of the whistleblowers, reasons we're finding these out are because of them. Thank them. But I don't care what anyone says. Science is very biased beyond on their own terms, right? Okay. So now that I got that said, a lot of them are getting into this at a time where they're already telling people to lower CO2 levels or we're fucked. So the first thing they're doing is, how do we solve this situation? They're not thinking, what is the outcome of this situation and what we are going to do. That's where geoengineering is banned. There are um, municipal governments out there that are telling people, we do not want geoengineering. The simple fact that 20 years from now, we don't know what that will affect and what situation that will put us in. Correct? Okay. Now here's kicker to it. They have people to answer to. They have people that they still have to answer to. So they can put out all the treaties they want. If someone above them says, F that treaty, we're going to make that treaty, we're going to put some holes in it. So this so and so continue on. Exactly what's happening. Exactly what's happened. Remember, when I first started talking weather modification, I couldn't get one fucking Glober to sit and listen to me without thinking I was off my rocker. Now, you say weather modification, they'll look at you like you're crazy for asking them about it. That's crazy to me. But hey, rather than want them to come to me and say, oh, you were right, I'm just happy they fucking know about what's going on that end. But like I said, many times before, modification, child's play compared to G. For those who don't get what that means, because I've actually had to argue this today, weather modification is a small area, not going to really affect everywhere else. It may affect a state next to here, a city over there. That's weather modification. It's nothing. It's small. But it's enough that everyone who didn't believe weather modification that does now can enjoy that, but then criticize now the geoengineering. What's up, cats? What's up, peanuts? How you doing, sir? You guys are saying the largest are not the people, the corporations that out restriction, the type toxic spills and toxic. So, censor, check this out. You're first of all, you're 100% correct. Here's the thing, and I think I may have said this last stream. This new situation, what they're doing now, which is the carbon capture and sequestration. Uh, what they're doing is if you think about it, just on a small scale, just kind of local idea of what's happening, they're putting themselves out to business. That makes sense? Not even a little bit. Not even a fuck that. They're not gonna do that. Why? Why would they do that? It's not gonna happen. And I'm gonna show you guys exactly why these people will not start this technology that will put them out of business. It's kind of how solar energy is around still, and all these fossil fuel companies did take them all out with snipers. All right, kept solar. They first of all they kept the solar industry fossil fuel with solar panels. That's all it was. It's not real solar energy unless you have a battery. You guys have heard me say that so many times. You probably hate solar energy already, but that's the truth of the matter. Not have a solar. We don't have solar technology. Shit. All those large farms that we got out there, those farms, even those farms aren't even solar. They're using solar technology to feed their fossil fuel plants, but that's about it. Um, I gotta go to find what I'll show you guys. Oh, okay, so here we go. So basically, like I was just saying, there's always a reason. Now, for our show, geoengineering does have great ideas for fixing the now. If you're not willing to look ahead, you're not willing to look at the big picture, geoengineering, pretty damn cool. I mean, weather modification was crazy, but hey, it does help. It has its drawbacks. Yeah, you may get rain, you may get, um, you may have less harsh storms, But what does that do in the long run? Captain, or I'm sorry, Captain, censored. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Go to any lake in Southern California right now. One thing you're gonna see. Show you guys. Yeah, I can do something. Because that's a video, and I didn't do very much editing during this week, so everything's kind of just all the whole video. So I'm gonna go ahead and play it on my, and then get to the part that shows you exactly what I'm talking about. But basically, all our lakes, in Southern California, are down 20 to 50 feet. But I was watching a video, and there's a place with a man-made lake you would never think is down 200 feet from normal. All right, here it is. Do this real quick. I'm gonna fast forward a little bit, and then I'll right with you talking about. All right, here it is. Okay, let me go ahead and which window do I want to share it to? Over here. Yes, up. All right, let's try this. Capture it. Not going to. All right, I have to. Oh, good thing the video is all in the beginning of it. Throw it on the E6. All right, 2 seconds. Oh, see? Not that quick.
The drought emergency in the West stretches beyond California. The water level this morning in Nevada's Lake Mead is the record low of about 37%. John Blackstone shows us how the nation's largest man-made reservoir is now bursting with surprises.
Like reservoirs throughout the drought-stricken West, Lake Mead is far below capacity, down more than 60%. The white ring shows where water used to reach. But even as the drought deepens, tourists are flowing in.
Oh, there's a big catfish.
Lake Mead gets more visitors than either Yosemite or the Grand Canyon. And some are coming to see the surprising sights that are revealed as the lake shrinks. We'd be inside the ice cream parlor now?
Yes, this is the doorway. You can see
The ruins of the old west town of St. Thomas were hidden for decades under the water. But Lake Mead has receded so far that tourists can now hike a mile across the desert to examine what's left, with no water in sight. If we were standing here in the 1990s, we'd be under how much water?
we would probably have a good 100 feet of water above our heads right now.
100 feet of water.
100 feet of water, yes.
That's a lot of water.
That is quite a bit of water, yes.
St. Thomas was founded in 1865 by Mormon pioneers.
The largest foundation is the St. Thomas Schoolhouse.
It was a thriving and at times lawless town.
And things got a little wild out here. There were some horse thieves, there were some cattle rustlers.
When the U.S. government bought the land in the 1930s to make room for Lake Mead, it's been said a few of the residents refused to leave, believing the valley would never flood. There are smaller but striking indications that this was once at the bottom of a lake. Look down, and the desert floor is covered in shells.
Yeah, so like I said, I mean, just to say that even weather modification, say geo doesn't affect things, bullshit. Now, you can say this is natural, this happens, but understand that Lake Mead is as a man-made fed lake. I mean, it's not only snow coming off the mountains. They divert rivers into Lake Mead for the purposes of hitting that dam to power all the Vegas, Boulder, the whole nine. Um, but the situation that we just saw is the same situation San Diego's having. I'm pretty sure I'll have some pictures next stream, but there's a couple lakes I'm going to stop by on the way to work and to and from that I can take a picture and show you this exact same situation. Here in San Diego, it's a lake, a reservoir. Um, San Vicente, they just spent billions of dollars redoing the dam that's there, and the water's down 50 feet. 50 feet of this brand new dam is just wide open and exposed. Crazy. Um, get in the chat, make sure, because I'm trying to make sure I stay in the chat a little bit more. Uh, saying yeah, and there you go. There's other situations. So the way you can tell what's nature, what's man-made, is there are cycles, there are levels. If we're not getting any water above to hit the ground, then we shouldn't be getting water in our aquifers or the water level, water table. But there's plenty of water just under our feet. For some reason, it's not emptying out. Now, understand, in recent years, we'll say 15 years ago, this is exactly what would happen. It could rain, this is exactly the situation for San Diego. It rains, but if it doesn't rain enough to actually saturate the ground, we don't have groundwater. Our groundwater goes way down, drops about 8 feet every year. Since you said, yo, what about the Carlsbad Diesel plant? What's that? What do you mean? For sure, I'm gonna go ahead and Google that real quick. Pretty sure if I see it, that's what you're talking about. Oh, okay, yeah. So, oh yeah, okay. So basically, for many many years, they've been talking about desalinating water. Turning salt water into fresh water, turning wastewater to better, good usable water. Plants. This plant was built right on an aquifer. Basically where the water outlets from all our mountains into the ocean. It's it's it looks like it's on a mountain, and it couldn't touch water if its life depended on it. It's crazy. Um, there's a lot of places that they've put in billions in that are for nothing, for nothing. Um, or censored another one. San Onofre. Their biggest issue is 10 years ago. I worked on San Onofre as a civilian contractor, starting doing a lot of the demo for one of the installations. They put millions of dollars into that place, and their big issue now, because now they're shutting it down. What are we gonna do? All the uranium, all the nuclear waste. That's their big thing, and they've been pushing take it to Yucca Mountain. But the governor and all them, their government over there, like fuck you guys, you're not bringing it here. So they're just sitting on burnt, spent nuclear waste. I got a video, but I'm gonna say that one. That one's freaking long. Doesn't really get to a end. But yeah. So basically, the things that have been going on prior 20 years ago, 70 years ago that I've even read, could be the exact same reason we're having all these issues now. San Diego hasn't had a rainy season in 3 years. They say El Nino. What is that? Because I've really looked into it, but there's no real thing of El Nino. This weather pattern that miraculously happens every so often. It's bullshit. How do I know? Because if you go look up El Nino patterns or data, real sketchy, real up and down. Doesn't really give you much. Um, but I digress. Okay, so like I was saying before, the good things that are for this is that it's a new thing for the public to know. It's a new thing for a lot of scientists, aka college students that are studying these things. So there is an opportunity to see the situation that's at hand, try to think of solutions for it, and we're now in the position that we're going to start seeing the effects of prior projects, and then we'll be able to stop things easy. But for now, they're not. What they're doing is they're just hiding it. Not sure if you guys realized it, but to me, it feels like a few months ago when I started talking about this stuff, it wasn't. It was nothing. It's a big thing now. It's no. I'm telling you right now, geoengineering, ocean fertilization is no longer a conspiracy at all. And the crazy part to me is I was talking about it before. I guess you could say it was coming mainstream reporting or news or idea, as they put it. I like the fact that there are these minds that can think about it, can think these things out, and figure, because if they can do this, imagine what they can do with only good intentions. Because, like I said, one scientist may be in it for himself, another may be in it for the public. But regardless, whoever pays them. So that's where the next step of this comes in. Um, a lot of people that I talk to, not most of you guys that I'm looking at. Hey, what's up, Himawari? Um, what they'll tell me is that it's a nothing science. Basically saying that they research it, they theorize about it, but they're not doing it. When I first started, I found an article with the sightings in it of 12 from 1992. First one, first, and it even states it first. Go ahead and pull it up. As the first documented. All right, go ahead and get to. Okay, so the first documented would be 19 or 92. Now, people, how are you telling me that they don't do this? They don't. It's a theory that they're working on, idea of what they're working on to fix climate control. And in 1992, they were doing. I'm sorry, 93. So this is from an article. The links are in the chat or in my description, so you guys can check that out if you want. So for you guys who thinks I'm full of shit, or maybe if you just want to see an article that I was reading, citing that I was reading. This is from nature.com, I believe. Like I said, that are in the description. But this right here is the first company. I'm trying to make it size so I know it. Yay, OBS. Right when I need to work. All right, there we go. I'll just scroll over the side. So Iron X, uh, it's Iron X 1, was done in April of 1993. Um, they did this one off the coast of British Columbia, and basically from then on in, it just kept going. Got that one. Size it down. Have all of them in. Can't read it. Actually, the thing is I can't read it because of how my screen is. I'm pretty sure it's fine for you. That's one. So the next one, be find it. 1995. And mind you, all when you if I highly suggest you guys check out the links in the description. These ones are definitely from the right in front of me, so I can tell you. These ones are from the article, the Nature.com one, the news. Um, this publication was actually from 2011 that we're talking about. Oh, yes, nice, Nick. Yeah, yeah, I'm in. Um, so like I said, this one is from 1995. Uh, and or, like I was saying, each one of these are multiple ocean fertilization projects. So the first one I showed you guys, they did, I think it was 8 different um, dumping of the iron. This is the second one, Iron X2, a second experiment, Iron X2, designed by John Martin, was performed in 1995. This here, and the reason I'm doing it this way is I want you guys to kind of like really see the, how full of shit these people are, because I've there's quite a few of these. Um, we'll go to the next one. I do the slideshow, but then it gets all jumbled, and I got to do a hotkey and I'm gonna get into the detailed part of this too. So don't think I'm just showing you a quote. That'll be it. This one is Ocean Farm Inc. Ocean Farm Inc. was established by a group of private investors and the chemical engineer and enterprise Michael Markel's 1995. And there's some activity going on because I'll show you that in a second as well. Go to the next one. This one is a little bit of a jump, but it's 19. Southern Ocean Iron Release experiment. A third experiment called SOIRE, SOIRE, standing for Southern Ocean Iron Release Experiment, carried out in 19. And here's the thing: things are happening under. So remember the treaties and the bans that I was telling you guys about? One of the things that they're doing is they've made it so, of course, research, science based projects should be allowed because those are the ones who are going to tell you, hey, this is bad because of this. They're not telling us these. Not to mention, these organizations are not allowed, period, to make money off of this. I'm going to show you in a second exactly how they make money and what was going on. This is the beginning of this stuff and how I know now it is so big that it's never going to stop. So let's go to the next one. That's so far 4. And mind you, these 4 are all in the same article. All right, the next one will be 2001. Until you see what the captains and these owners of the corporations say about okay, so this is basically underlying. These are the companies that from 93 to 2000 and on my files. I think 2005 is these companies stopped reporting to have been doing this. So these companies that we just companies. Files to see. I don't know if I have more or all right, here. Next one. Look at our okay. So now we're gonna look into some of the comments that these captains talk to these reporters about and had to say about it. First, I need guys that I'm gonna go ahead and close out the I have up there. All right. So now what we're gonna go ahead and look at are basically these are the guys that were in the deep of it. What I do, I will personally read that stuff off to you, but I can actually just put the link up right. Have that one up. Oh, perfect. Share. This will make it a lot easier for. I'm actually looking at these articles at right there. Okay, so what we're looking at right now is the nature article that I was at. Make this a little bigger. So go ahead and scroll through this. Ocean fertilization projects, project off of Canada sparks. So this article, 2012, kind of already went through all this, where they're telling about different applications they're using, why they're doing it. This is the very beginning of it, basically. Um, Now, this is one of the things I was going to talk about. What captains were actually saying about this shit. Could pull my in. Crazy. I have a lot to show you guys, but probably leave it prepared. Hey, sometimes it has to be. Has to be. All right, here we go. First one. Okay. So basically, what I'm looking at now, I'll go ahead and highlight it, make life easier. Right here, I'm going to be reading off of this. Basically says, is now clear that old massive, a fishing village. Okay, so this is why. This is when I noticed in this article where research and business jump the shark together, right? So it says, now clear that Old Massive, a fishing village of fewer than 1,000 people, embraced the project's hope, restoring winding salmon run by boosting plankton, and in turn, the entire marine. Understand? I'll explain this. Um, they dump this iron, the algae, they bloom a lot, a lot, a lot. And obviously, there are other animals that eat this algae, which eat, then the other animals that eat them. It's a cycle. So basically, it the beginning, I'm 100% positive, without a doubt, that the areas they're doing, and mind you, the one we're talking about right now is a 10,000 kilometer um, area, right? So it's not just a small little coastline. This is a big chunk of ocean. Not in compared to how big the ocean is, but it's a big area, right? So, village worried about salmon runs deep. Saw right after they're doing this, all this marine life flourish, right? So this is the good for it, right? This fishing village that survives, their livelihoods matter on whether or not the salmon run. Found a way to get the salmon to run. Fortunately, what happens long term not in the plan, and I'll get into that in a second. He says, restore hopes of dwelling salmon runs by plankton, blah, blah, blah. It says, the villagers voted on February 2011 to lend can $2.5 million uh, to okay, to Canada's Salmon Res, Resur- Resurrection Corporation to fertilize the ocean, says John Disney, head of the Old Massive based corporation and economic development officer for the village. George, who previously headed Planktos, a firm based in San Francisco, California, that has sought out to commercialize ocean fertilization iron. Signed on as a chief scientist after the HSRC approached him, says Disney. The company planned to repay the village for its loan by selling carbon credits. Companies seeking to offset their greenhouse gas emissions. The ads basically saying, okay, so the United States market, European market, where most of this was on at the time, anytime a company uh, finds a way to produce less CO2, they're basically given these credits, which they basically can either cash in on or use towards a bad month, maybe a bad year, where they rise a little bit, but they don't want to get sanctioned, they don't want to pay fines. So it's like, hey, you guys did a good job. Here's a half-ass get out of jail free card. But what this guy is saying is what they would do. What they were doing is they would get these carbon credits, hand them to a company that's not involved, then cash them out, and then give back their portion of the money. Those of you who don't understand, that's highly illegal in trade. Not allowed, period. If, ands, or buts about it. Go down to this next one. It says, this is the profound part. This is when it's like the beginning of the nuclear bomb, right? Listen. Created life where there wasn't life, Disney. Adding the fertilization fed a phytoplankton bloom of some 60,000 or 10,000 square kilometers. Attracted fish, birds, whales, the whole nine. The only difference between what we have done and what everyone else has done, that we've taken it up a notch. They've taken it beyond just ocean fertilization at this point. In the early 90s, on down, because it's a it's eye opener of what's really going on. And then here's where it gets really weird. I told you guys about NOAA. They run the weather, period. News organizations with their cute little meteorologist girls and the guys are like, yeah, the weather's this, blah, blah. They're told all what to say, all on script. All of them. Why? Because every single day before they go live for it, they have to talk to NOAA first. They tell them what they have to do. That's that gag order I've showed you. NOAA, go to NOAA's site today. Go right now. NOAA has sites on their website stating that ocean fertilization theory. And let's check this out. Environment, or is it? Make sure I got the right part. Here it is. Environment Canada did not approve of this non-science event. Environment Minister Peter Kent told Parliament on 18th of October, enforcement officers are now investigating the Canadian National Research Council. Gave nearly $70,000 in funding to HSRC and the U.S. National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, provided 20 buoys to help monitor water conditions, but officials at those agencies say they were never informed of the ocean fertilization project. They thought they were called salmon ecology. I'm sorry. That much money, that much effort? Not what you thought. Let's see here. Okay, so that's that for that article. I mean, there's so much more in this article, but that's it for what I talked to you guys about on that one. Close this one now. Up. Next one. That's the one. Okay, so basically what we're looking at now is I guess you would call it the the analysis of what they found and what we're seeing now. That's a good read. I'm not going to go through it because it's long and lengthy, as you guys can see. 9 pages. But check that out. It's the description. And I wanted to touch bases basically on now what they're doing now, because we've, like I said, we've gone over that stuff. I know. I'm sorry if you guys are hurt so much that it's irritating, but it's really important to see how it started and how it was prepped already. Um, here, that done. Okay, so actually get back into the chat. My apologies again, guys. And like I said, I am trying to be mindful of it. Okay, so the next step of what's going on is they're not talking about the bad. I've already gone over what these plankton blooms are capable of doing. You know, red tides and whatnot. But now what I'm seeing are companies are out there talking about ocean sequestering of the CO2 and land. I reported about the land one, and the article I had read was up to date and said 22, right? Video, I'll go ahead and a lot of there are avatars on it, but I don't care copyright. I want you guys to see how information keeps changing. But before that, let me go ahead and read something to you guys. So basically, this is from that last article, deeper into the research I was doing, and it was part of the bad geoengineering. Guys, that one. Check. Oh, okay, perfect. Okay, so in one of the articles that I was talking about was the fact that they're not giving us the real information about what's going on. But I found one deeper into that website that basically discusses uh, one of the biggest issues, even more than red tide. So basically, it's the ocean acidification that these projects are actually really forming and making happen. So we know that when we dump iron into the ocean, what it does is it stimulates this plankton algae into a immediate bloom. I mean, I'm talking tens of thousands times more of what is on a normal, you know, flow of how the world works, or the ocean works for them. But what happens is once they've done this, they've absorbed the CO2 because phytoplanktons we now know once they get in contact, they absorb the carbon dioxide sticks to them. What's up, musician? How you doing? Oh shit, what's up, Bill? Uh, how you are muzzle only? Muzzle only. I'm sorry. Um, basically, what happens is, like I said, it's CO2 sticks to them. Their idea is that because these phytoplanktons do not have they have a short lifespan. Basically, they will die, sink to the bottom. They'll go down there with a nice little water vacuum. This is 100% true. With a water vacuum that sucks up all the dead phytoplankton with the CO2. They take it to um, basically a big holding tank, which at this whole time they've now liquefied carbon dioxide. They use a chemical called amine, kind of like ammonia, but how's it spelled? It is spelled AM. Of course, wrong note in front of me. Sorry, guys. It is called. Just took these like hours ago, so I know they're here. Guys, I'm sorry. Yeah, amine. AMIN. Kind of like ammonia, but it basically what it does is they filter CO2 with this amine. It basically pulls the CO2 away from phytoplanktons corpses, I guess you call them, and that's how they capture them, right? And it's a crazy cycle. I'm actually going to show you guys a video since I've been ranting. I've actually at the same time been getting the video ready to play, and it will 100% explain what I'm trying to explain to it. So they can explain it better than I do. It's going to be kind of choppy because I don't want to play the whole thing. I just want to play the of the video. The two different applications after the fertilization has happened. Now capture time for carbon capturing to take place. Remember, guys, I'm going through from beginning to end, so I'm going to be jumping. I'm going to be jumping ahead a lot. The in betweens, if you tag my name, chat turns bright yellow for me, and I'll see it. So if you have any questions of anything I'm talking about, I'll immediately get and answer it. For instance, I know Nick has been asking over and over if I'm coming. Nick, yes, I see it. Basically, or I wanted to read this first, and then the video's ready to go. I'm just gonna read this first though. Basically says ocean acidification. A 2009 study tested the potential of iron fertilization to reduce both atmospheric CO2 and ocean acidities using a global ocean carbon model. The study showed that an optimized gene of micronutrients introduced would reduce the tongue-tied predicted increase of atmospheric CO2 by more than 20%. Fortunately, the impact of the ocean acidification would be minimal due to the higher proportions of carbon dioxide taken into the ocean. So basically what that says is the fact that they are producing so much carbon dioxide is that the ocean wouldn't get a chance to acidify. I know, stupid. It doesn't even make sense. But that is an article that your beloved PA cited. Matter of fact, the person's name is Ken Calderley. And that was their solution to it. That was part of his paper, and it was titled, "Can Ocean Iron Fertilization Mitigate Ocean Acidification?" Bullshit. Good night, Nick. So let me go ahead and play this video. And so what you're going to see right now is the two methods of carbon capturing. There's the land, and there's also their ocean solution.
Drought emergency in the west stretches beyond California. The water level this morning in Nevada's Lake Mead.
CO2 is created by every living thing on the planet, but also by burning fossil fuels, which is causing global warming. So what if we just trapped it all under the ocean? That would work, right?
Oh, good. Now?
Howdy, oxygenators. Trace here for D-News. Every breath you take, you'll be exhaling CO2. In fact, each exhale contains 100 times more CO2 than was inhaled, totaling about 2 pounds of CO2 per day per person. Carbon dioxide is odorless, colorless, highly toxic, and apparently tastes pungent and acidic. Because Earth is a relatively closed system, carbon never leaves. It gets burned and then trapped and then breathed and then reused all over the planet all over again and again and again. Most of us probably connect CO2 with breathing. While we only release pounds per day, industry releases tons. And if we don't capture it, the CO2 will continue to exacerbate the greenhouse effect. In 2014, we were projected to release 37 gigatons of carbon dioxide into the air, which is more than the planet can absorb. This is getting serious. So scientists are working on ways to filter and trap this ubiquitous gas. In the 1930s, researchers figured out if you bubble air through a solution of a derivative of ammonia called an amine, the CO2 is created by every...
It's amine. Okay, so that was it. Again, like I said, I'm going to be stopping and going on these mainly. Sorry, but whatever, doesn't matter if I do anything. Yeah. Like, I, uh, I call this like selling the bullshit, right?
But also by burning fossil fuels, which is causing global warming. So what if we just trapped it all under the ocean? That would work, right? Howdy, oxygenators. Trace here for D News. Every breath you take, you'll be exhaling CO2. In fact, each exhale contains 100 times more CO2 than was inhaled, totaling about 2 pounds of CO2 per day per person. Carbon dioxide is odorless, colorless, highly toxic, and apparently tastes pungent and acidic. Because Earth is a relatively closed system, carbon never leaves. It gets burned and then trapped and then breathed and then reused all over the planet all over again and again and again. Most of us probably connect CO2 with breathing. While we only release pounds per day, industry releases tons. And if we don't count, CO2 will continue to exacerbate the greenhouse effect. In 2014, we were projected to release 37 gigatons of carbon dioxide into the air, which is more than the planet can absorb. This is getting serious, so scientists are working on ways to filter and trap this ubiquitous gas. In the 1930s, researchers figured out if you bubble air through a solution of a derivative of ammonia called an amine, the CO2 will be plucked out, scrubbing the air clean. We've since developed a bunch of other ways to capture it, but in 2014, MIT developed a super efficient process using electrochemistry, electricity plus chemistry. It's awesome. The researchers used these amines to pick up the CO2, just like in the 1930s, but they added a modern twist. When you bubble polluted air through an amine solution, these guys naturally want to cling to the CO2. They love it. But then electricity throws copper ions into the mix, and if you're an amine, copper ions are way more enticing than CO2, so they drop the toxic gas like a bad habit and pick up the copper. At that point, the lonely CO2 floats out of the system. Yay! Afterward, the copper is pulled away from the amines who have to run through that process again and again and again. I sort of feel bad for little hard-working guys, you know? But back to the CO2. So now that we've filtered it, then what? Well, because industry faces such strict penalties for releasing CO2 into the atmosphere, they've created carbon capture and storage technologies. Essentially, most companies take that filtered CO2, cool it until the gas becomes a liquid, and then transport it somewhere where they can store it. There are two major ways to do this. One is pretty straightforward, and the other one just seems crazy. The straightforward one is called geologic carbon sequestration. In the States, the U.S. Geological Survey has identified 36 different regions CO2 could be injected into porous areas of rock between 3,000 and 15,000 feet underground, and hopefully there it will stay. The second is the crazy one. It's similar, but it's oceanic carbon sequestration. In is actually denser than water. So theoretically, if we just pumped it under the ocean, the water above it would hold it down like a big weighted blanket. A 2013 study in Geophysical Research Letters looked at the viability of pumping liquid CO2 to the bottom of the ocean and determined it would form a lake of liquid carbon dioxide. Yeah, a lake. The high-pressure cold world of the deep sea would then hold it in stasis for maybe 1,000 years. I know what you're thinking.
All right, here we go. Apologize. Yes, my mic was muted, Bill. Unfortunately. Um, what I was trying to say, and luckily I didn't really have much to say. I was more looking. Um, there's a huge issue with both the carbon, the land in ocean capturing. The fact that is, if these things leak, there's no telling what could happen. Um, Obviously, it's just like fracking, and we have so many issues there. So if fracking's still a problem, don't know how to mitigate the bad that's coming from that. How are we going to then put something in the ground without the knowledge of how to safely do it, let alone telling people it's okay to be doing? Um, like I said, what I was doing You guys didn't hear me because my mic was muted. What I'm doing right now is I'm trying to find an article that really, really fucking hits home to how dangerous this idea, this idea that they first of all know what the fuck they're doing. Second of all, not telling us truth because uh, but I don't know what the fuck it is. I'll keep looking for it as I tell you about it. There is a place, and this is what I didn't want to. I didn't want to tell you. There's a place where this happened and something happened and not be able to show for it. I would prefer being able to do that because I know there are probably some people here that are just waiting to pounce and say, "I told you, John." Unfortunately, guys, I'm not. That from happening, I don't want to talk about it yet. If I can find an article, you guys know the. You see, so I'll go ahead and talk about it. Look for it. There's a place, ha ha ha. Basically, what happens is they, yeah, I labeled it something that would jump out at me. Ah, perfect. Okay, nope. Had all these numbers in it. I'll just click on them all, guys. If you, like I said, if you guys have any questions in the chat, go ahead and let me know. I'll see them. I'm jumping around a lot, and I told you, like I said, I'm gonna jump a lot in this one. Basically, because I want to get the basics of the beginning to what's going on now. Because right now it's no longer. This is basically what it is. It is no longer at all about climate change. Understand that. Understand that to change the climate to what they are predicting, quote unquote, is fucking foolish, and it's not going to happen for hundreds of years, if at all. Um, so it's ridiculous. Where did I put it? I have too many shots. That's what I'll be doing tonight. Shots. All right. I know I'm on the right page. Now I just gotta find it. Right. Yeah. Exactly. That's all it is. Which is another form of geoengineering that they are. See. So this ocean fertilization, they're doing it. Period. I I I personally believe 100% that they are definitely solar radiation, the blanketing, um, but that would be a lot more difficult to show based on the fact that they can do it at night, any other time. Motherfucker, I'm a soft taco motherfucker. Matter of fact, welcome back, Bill. I haven't seen you in forever. More surprising, you're still here. So hey, change. All right, last place I'm looking in up on it to tell you about it anyway. I'll put it in the description when I find it. But okay, so basically, um, as I hope all rushes back to me. Okay, so basically, I lost probably the important thing I want to tell you guys about. Um, and I hate that I'm gonna do it, but find it, I'll fuck, I don't care. I'll uplink it. 10-second fucking video. Have this art. There's a place where they were doing this capture carbon carbon capturing, and basically it leaked. Now, like I was saying before, um, the CO2 that is around us now is scattered, extremely scattered. But if the carbon capture locations were to leak, they would basically be a big blob of fucking CO2, right? Well, this has happened. It leaked, and it actually killed 1,000 people in town. I'm honestly pissed as all hell right now. I can't find this to show you guys where I got it from and everything, because it's fucking insane to me. Even worse that no one knows about it, and worse that they're not fucking telling anybody. Um, last gen. Done. Yeah, I gotta find it, and then I'll post it, and again I'll also talk about it next stream. I do apologize for that because fuck that basically I would have been happy just saying that one fact about it. People done. That's how important it was to me to tell you guys about it. Like I said, I was ready. I know I wanted to do, but because of the scope of what I'm doing and the uploads I'm doing, I couldn't get that detailed. Um, but in a nutshell, yeah, like I said, a catastrophic, I will call it, and it has happened with these capture areas actually leaking, and it actually killed 1,000 people. Um, so it is dangerous. It does kill, and the worst part is they don't know why it happened. They don't know how to mitigate it. They don't know the safety precautions necessary to be doing this, let alone telling us how safe it is. Okay, back to area. Um, maybe folks on the west coast. Could be a number of things. You guys remember the trumpet sounds, the hums? That's harp, 100%. There's no doubt about it. I can 100% prove to you based on how they explain their technology and what it does, on a broad basis. It shoots the frequency up. That hum, the trumpets you're hearing, is what RF waves sound like back the atmosphere. Booming, I don't know so much about. I'm not saying that's exactly what it is. Now, remember, all these things are dangerous. All these things shown. No, it's complete bullshit to be safe. Now, this is why, right? No, big jump. I know. Here a little while ago, you heard me talk about the very first ocean fertilization companies doing that and what they were getting out of it. They're getting carbon credits, which then they sell, and then they would basically wash their hands with it, so they didn't look bad. What they now have is called a carbon market. Carbon market is basically um, a place where get rich off of carbon dioxide. Um, guys, right here, carbon market. This is a report from 2008. Loading up as we speak. Okay, so there it is. I want to show you guys, right? Okay. Quarter link, carbon capture and sequestering market report. So it's an industry. It is a $1 billion industry. They are making millions and billions of dollars on this. And again, I mean, it makes sense why they're doing it and why they're doing it so much. But remember, companies doing this aren't just these regular companies that are in the business carbon capturing storage. Fossil fuel companies are the biggest industries doing this. Why? Here you go. You ready? They figured out that this liquid CO2, when pumped into their wells, kind of scrubbed the walls, took the extra stuff out. They now gain 60 to 80% more oil per well using capture carry or capture and storage technology. Makes sense now, huh? That's why they're involved in this. Now, remember, if end goal of all this is to mitigate much CO2 to zero as possible, right? Now, catch to that, because do that, that also means now have to figure out how to not, doesn't make too much sense, right? So the only way for this to be worth anything is they have to capture more CO2 than they produce, getting the oil to then put back in mainstream, the industrial side, cars, trucks, the whole nine, which then will make CO2. So you're going to be on a constant up and down. But remember, have to be capturing more for this to be worth it. And so if you're in the oil industry, Bill, then when I'm saying these numbers of per plant, per nuclear plant or oil facility, they're estimating 300 billion tons of carbon monoxide or carbon dioxide captured yearly. Now, that sounds like a big ass number, but understand that's 1/3 of what they produce. And I'm saying not now, I'm talking about tomorrow, right? Does it make sense? That's because they capture it, report their numbers, skyrocket their emissions number up again, skyrocket back down, time to report about it. Now, what doesn't make sense, here's the kicker. This is why I know for a fact this is never going away. Ever. Why fossil companies, big ones, Shell, all these companies are now doing this and at the top of the field doing it. Why would these companies do this with which would mean in 30 years, because by 2050 this is all supposed to be solved? Why would they get into the business of ending their business? Because if they get to the goal of fossil fuels on natural gases, right? Period. That's, I mean, just that alone should throw every fucking red flag all you deniers have, pockets that you never wanted to pull out because we're crazy. Fuck that. Tell me, why would fossil fuel so heartily participate in ending their careers? Period. You know what? I'm done for the night. Anybody who denies how corrupt this situation is, because I didn't even get into the fact that these are still banned under treaties that are trying to pass little legislations to allow it. Fuck that. You answer that question to me. Anybody who denies what I'm saying. Anyone who calls me a conspirator. Why the fuck would fossil fuels solely put themselves out of business?
Duke wins. Fatality.